Hello there friends, thanks for tuning in for another video. Today I'm going to share with you all the fun things that we did on our 100th day of school. We just celebrated that last week with my kindergartner. She wasn't doing 5 days a week for the first semester. We only did 4 days a week. That's just how I like to start off with kindergarten. So she's at 5 days a week now in the second semester, but that means we didn't really reach the 100-day mark until the end of February. So we just celebrated that milestone last week, and in this video I'm going to share with you all the fun things that we did. And if you're looking for some ideas for kind of a fun celebration in your homeschool, hopefully you can take some of my ideas and put them to use in your home. If you'd like to see what we did, stick around. Okay, so I'm going to read off of my little schedule here. I made a little, not really a schedule, but just like a list of things that we did. And then at the end of this video, I'm actually going to show you a little photo slideshow of my kids actually participating in some of the activities for the 100th day of school. So again, this was for my kindergartner mostly, but I did try to bring in some things that my 4th grader would enjoy so that he could do the 100th day celebration with us in the morning, and then after lunch he just did a couple of his big 4th grader subject type things in the afternoon. So he did get some of his schoolwork in as well as celebrate with us in the morning. But we start off each morning typically on a normal day of school sitting on the couch, having Bible time, and then getting out our morning basket. That's typically what we do. And so that's what we did here too, but we just kind of made everything themed to the number 100. So for Bible time, we read Psalm 100, and then I taught the kids a song that I actually learned when I was in grade school that puts Psalm 100 to music. So that was our Bible time together. And then we kind of went right from there into what happened 100 years ago. So that's history, right? And we actually used a website to look up things. I actually did this ahead of time where I looked at things that happened so that I could find either pictures or even video clips from YouTube about these events that happened 100 years ago on our 100th day of school. So that actually happened to be February 24th. So I just looked up online. There's several sites that show what happened 100 years ago, and we were able to find pictures for all of those events and show the kids and even some video clips from YouTube. For example, one of the events, it was actually 100 years ago last week, so it was like sometime in that week, and it was a poem that was written. You may have heard of this poem. It's called Touch of the Master's Hand. If you haven't heard of this poem, I really suggest you go and find it, especially if you have a child that is struggling with self-esteem. It's just a beautiful poem. And it was written 100 years ago last week, and so I actually found a violinist who who performed the poem and then actually played the violin like one of the characters does in the poem. So it was just really neat. I'll try and leave a link. I'll try and remember to leave a link to that poem down below in the description box in case you're interested to check that out. But that's what we did first. Bible time, reading Psalm 100, and then what happened 100 years ago as kind of a history tie-in to our 100th day of school. And then the next thing I did, after kind of sitting a while, I thought I wanted to get them up and moving. So I found a 100th day of school fitness checklist, and it basically picked out 10 different exercises, and you did 10 of them. So that was really good to start to introduce my daughter to the concept of counting by tens. In fact, she already can count by tens, but just groups of 10, kind of getting her ready for place value, which we actually started today in math, so it was a great tie-in. And we kind of grouped those together and did 10 of this, 10 of this, 10 of this, and then like we counted it up and how many does this add up to now, and that sort of a thing. And it was just a really fun time. The exercises were kind of silly and the kids had fun with them. So we did 100th day of school fitness, we did 100 exercises, 10 different exercises, 10 each. Okay. What was the next thing we did? The next thing we did was like a Legos kind of STEM building activity. I found tons of stuff online, you guys, about different Lego builds and things like that you could do, and I've actually created one of my own with 100 Legos. And so their challenge was to go find 10 Legos in 10 different colors. Again, really starting to build that idea of place value, groups of 10, the tens place for my kindergartner, and my big fourth grader helped out with that. So she found 10 Legos. Actually, he did this too. 10 Legos in 10 different colors. So they had a total of 10 Legos. And then they came back upstairs and did a little STEM building challenge. They actually were challenged to build an invention. Like if you lived 100 years ago, what would be an invention that you could invent to make things easier or to make life better for others? And so my daughter actually built a town, and she built lots of little different businesses, and she told me what each business was. And my son built a garbage train, which I thought was a very clever invention to make. But he had that all figured out and enjoyed participating in that, even though, like I said, this was geared more toward my daughter. He really enjoyed that particular activity. Then after the Lego building, we had to kind of get ready to go to my daughter's gymnastics class. This happened to fall on our 100th day of school. So I decided we would do all of these things in the morning and then go and get a special snack that I will show you at the end of the video. I'll show you a picture of this. I wanted to actually make the number 100 out of donuts. You know, the long stick donuts that they have that are filled with cream or something, and then just regular round donuts. I thought I could make the number 100. We get to the donut shop and they have no more stick donuts. So I'm like, what do I do? I don't have any long number 1. And so there were some napkins on the counter there. I just rolled up a napkin, and you'll see it in the slideshow at the end, and just made that the 1, and the kids were super happy. They still got their donut with sprinkles, and that was our special 100 snack. And we ate that in the car on the way to my daughter's gymnastics class. And while she was in gymnastics, my son also did some 4th grade work in the car. We aren't able to go inside, just one of the rules with everything that's going on right now. So we actually remain in the car anyway. And so he just did some catch-up work since he didn't get to do his subjects in the morning. All right, so after the snack, we came home from gymnastics, and the kids just kind of do their own thing while I'm making lunch, because right after lunch we have piano with my son. It's right now it's done virtually with his piano instructor, so I don't have to go anywhere, but it's still, I got to come home from gymnastics and get that together right away. So we kind of paused the 100th day and just had a normal lunch. I didn't do anything super fancy or anything like that. And then I told my daughter we would jump back in and finish out our 100-day activities after lunch was over. So after lunch, the first thing that we did, my son didn't really participate in the 100th day after this point. He just did his piano lesson and then his afternoon schoolwork. But me and my daughter finished out with reading 100 words. And it was so neat how this worked out, you guys, because Memorial Press has mastery lists of words, that your kids are learning throughout the program. And so I just went to those mastery lists for the book that we just completed, and there was 101 words on there. And I didn't tell my daughter she read an extra word. I just said there's 100 words on here, and she read them all. And the challenge there was to see how fast she could do it, because I knew she could read all these words. She's been reading very, very well. So it wasn't a matter of her being able to, it was just the challenge was how fast she could do it. And she loved that, and you'll see her doing that towards the end of the video. After the 100 word challenge, we had a 100-year-old Mad Lib and portrait that we worked on. I think I found this online somewhere. I don't know if it was Teacher Pay Teachers. It may have been. But it was a Mad Lib, and the children got to fill in and make silly stories about finding 100 of something, and they get to fill in. I think it's all nouns, so I don't think they have to really come up with too many creative parts of speech. I think it's all nouns. But my daughter had fun with that. And then at the end, she had to draw a portrait of what she thought she would look like when she is 100 years old, which was really funny. But that was the last thing kind of activity-wise that we did. And then we wrapped up our day by reading one of my daughter's most favorite characters is Fancy Nancy. And we read Fancy Nancy's 100th Day of School. This was just kind of, I call this kind of one of God's love notes, when something just kind of falls in your lap or something just works out and you weren't even trying to have it work out. This was just something that the Lord just surprised you with, and so and really all of the good things are his hand anyway, but this was something completely unexpected to me. I went to look up 100 Day of School stories. I actually did this a couple weeks ago, before we had the 100th day of school. And I saw there was a Fancy Nancy one, and we have a book of Fancy Nancy stories. It's like 20 stories in this book, and the 100th day of school was in there, and I'd never seen it. I have read this book to my daughter like oodles of times, and she usually picks the same like 5 stories that are her favorites out of this like book of story collection. And the 100th day of school was actually in there, and like that, you probably are gonna watch this and say that's not that big a deal, but when that kind of stuff happens, I just get so like excited because it's like, oh, this just really worked out well. It's one other thing I don't have to go and get or find at the library. It just, I have it here on my shelf, and it worked out to fit into what we're doing. So we rounded out the day with Fancy Nancy's 100th day of school, and my daughter really loved it. So that was our 100th day of school. All simple stuff, you guys. I really didn't do anything super crafty or gluing 100 of something. No, we did not do that. Anyway, I digress. You probably want to see the pictures of the kiddos. I will pop them on here at the end, and I will just let that be my sign off, and I'll catch you in the next video, okay? Enjoy the pictures.